Hello everyone, this is Mumbo and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. It is episode 43 and today I want to try and take off because as you can see, the base is looking mad. For those of you who missed the previous episode of Hermitcraft, you have missed me starting work on a fairly ridiculous, silly, daft project. I think that's what we're going to call it. The fairly ridiculous, silly, daft project. For anyone who can work out what the acronym for that would be, put it down in the comment section. That will be code name for this project right here because it is silly, daft. I mean, what we're planning on doing is I want to light up the entire ocean around my base. So all of this area right here is going to be fully filled in with sea lanterns. Now we made a start on this in the previous episode of Hermitcraft, the FRSSDP. Fairly ridiculous, silly, daft project. Yeah, the FRSSDP. We made a start on that in the previous episode. We put about 3 hours into it, I think, in total. And we managed to cover this much space, which I would say is fairly good going. But I think I am going to do it again at the start of today's episode because I want to crack on with this. I was really enjoying doing it last time, listening to my audiobooks and everything. So I'm going to fill my full inventory with sea lanterns once again. And let's just crack on with it. Right, I would say we are good to go. We have got one full inventory of the sea lanterns. This thing has been working wonderfully. We are, however, using quite a lot of the resources, though. I mean, we still have a lot left. Okay, don't get me wrong. And these things are flying in fast. But we might have to do some AFK sessions later on in the episode just to kind of replenish the supplies. So I've decided I'm going to do a bit of a progress update every 9 stacks of sea lanterns, which means that we are near enough 1/3 of the way through. And as you can see, percentage growth has now become a thing. It's quite difficult to tell that we've made any progress whatsoever. We have gone out. No, it is difficult to tell. I think maybe it's starting to dawn on me how big this is. Obviously, last episode we spent 3 hours, one full inventory once again, and we managed to get decently far, and I thought it was going to be really easy. But obviously, as you start increasing the radius, it gets exponentially more time-consuming to do it. Needless to say, though, I still love the way that it looks, and I think this is going to look ridiculous once it's done. Another 9 stacks have been placed. We're around about, I'd say about 1 hour and 45 minutes, maybe 2 hours into this, and I know for a fact that I've done 2 or 3 laps around this entire thing because, of course, I go past this island right here. That's kind of like my reference point, because other than that, pretty much the whole base is symmetrical, especially when you're down underneath the ocean. But anyway, if we take off, hopefully we should be able to see at least some progress here. Now, I am a little bit worried because... Whoa, okay, yeah, there's obvious progress. How strange is that I'm kind of going out in a square? Wow, this looks huge. I was not expecting to see that much progression. Ideally, I would like to be out by the edges of these things by the end of today's episode. I think that would be a good thing. You can see I've kind of done it elsewhere around the base. But hey, that's pretty great. That's pretty great. Now, when it comes to the edges, eventually, once we reach the end, obviously I am going to fade them out gradually. It's not just going to be an abrupt end like that. But no, this is good. This is good. This is good. I was worried that we weren't going to be able to see how much work I'd done, but it's quite clearly obvious. Right, let's plunge back under the water and continue work. And we are done. We are done, finished, completo, and this thing is, yep, it's looking pretty spectacular. Very nice. I am impressed by how much we've managed to do in these past 2 episodes of Hermitcraft, just kind of dipping in for like 2 or 3 minutes. That is not bad at all. For probably about 6 or 7 minutes total of video, we're doing really well. Whoa. Okay, next project that I want to work on. We have got some bits and pieces that we need to do in these areas right here. The first thing I actually need to do, which I've just realised, is I need to take out the cobblestone that I've kind of left just inside this area because that's not looking particularly good. But more importantly, we need to start work on the other platforms. Now, I know. Okay, I know that building these diamond type things, we've done that quite a lot recently, but I can promise you that these are going to be the last ones. We're going to build the ones that are hovering up in the sky, and I think this could be the kind of defining moment of my base. At least I hope so, because I imagine it's going to look incredibly good. That's what it's looking like in my brain anyway. Just looking out though, in this area here, oh wow. It's just ridiculous. I want this in my house. So I've gone 15 blocks above the platform, and I wonder what that will look like. Okay. I mean, what you have to remember is that that's going to be the bottom bit of the platform, and then we're going to have the glass, and then the top bit of the platform. Do I think that will look good? Yes, actually, yeah, I do. I think that's quite a good distance. It's not too far, but it's also not too close. You guys know the drill by now. I've built the template, and I just want to see what it looks like from down underneath. Now, you may notice we're getting some horrendous lag on the server at this point in time. I think it's because there's so many people online. Wow, Scar. 430,000 blocks he's mined out in the community building area. That's like a stupid quantity. Anyway, regardless of that, that looks really cool. That will look so good once we get... Oh, that's going to look so cool. That's going to look really good. Once we get builds in there as well. Good grief. Good grief. This is going to look mega. It's going to look seriously good. Oh, excellent. And that right there is the final block. So we have got one of these things fully constructed now. And if we can just kind of fly up and over here, we should see that it will look quite nice. It looks a little bit flat, but that's because obviously we don't have the full structure in place. But yeah, that looks good. That looks really cool. I like the way that looks. I hope you guys like the way it looks as well. Once we start adding in the glass, obviously, it will begin to look better. Anyway, we have got 3 more of these things to build, so I suppose I should probably crack on with doing them. And for the second time, this one is done as well. So we have got 2 of these things all fully completed. Nice looking diamonds, one over there and one on this side as well. But of course, we've still got 2 more to go. 2 more left to do. These things are looking good, don't get me wrong, and I'm liking the fact that we have got some height to the base now, so it kind of goes inwards into the center. That's very cool. I have no clue how I'm going to connect them up. They might just end up being floating, crazy looking things, but we'll leave that for another day. As I say, 2 more left to do, and I think you guys can see it coming. It's time for a bit of a third-person time-lapse. It's just more interesting, isn't it? So in today's time-lapse chat, I want to talk to you about living in places, because as you guys know, I've kind of been thinking over the past couple months, or I would say about the past year, of where I want to live in the world. Because currently, obviously, I'm a YouTube content creator. That is my current job, and I'm extremely privileged with the fact that I could move completely to the opposite side of the world, and I would still have the same job, and I would still be earning the same amount of money, and absolutely nothing would have changed. And that is absolutely incredible, and I really don't want to take that for granted, and I think it would almost be a little bit silly of me to stay in the same place that I am right now when I have this freedom of movement that about 99% of the population don't currently have. It's completely ridiculous, the situation that I'm in, and I kind of want to take advantage of that. So originally I kind of thought of moving down to Cornwall, which is a place down in England that I personally absolutely love, and it's got some really nice surfing beaches, and it's just a nice, chilled out, relaxed lifestyle, and that seemed like a great idea to me. And then I started thinking of other places in England, maybe places like Devon, which is kind of similar to Cornwall, and I was just toying around with ideas like that, and then I thought to myself, well, you know, why stop in England? Why don't I look at other countries and other potential places? So instantly, my mind went to Australia, because some of my family live in Australia, and then Hawaii, believe it or not. Those 2 places are places I would absolutely love to live. And I still would. I still think they're really cool. But then I started messing around with other ideas. There were some places in the United States that I considered, places like New York and LA and things, but I kind of went off those ideas just a tiny bit. And then I started looking around elsewhere, and I kind of settled in Asia, because Asia is just, it's so diverse, and most of it has some of the most incredible natural beauty. So places like the Philippines, absolutely stunning place, somewhere that I personally would love to live. But recently I've kind of gone down towards Indonesia, and most importantly, Bali. Now, this is kind of also helped along by my mum. My mum went to Bali recently. She stayed there for about a month, and she absolutely loved it. She said it's the most incredible place that she's ever been, and that kind of piqued my interest to it. But also, a lot of the people that I follow on social media who are surfers live in Bali, and they're posting like their Instagram posts and their Instagram stories and things that I occasionally watch, and it just looks like the most incredible place to live. And I've kind of been toying around with the idea and throwing around some plans in my mind. I honestly don't know how we pulled that off, but I managed to build both of those in an hour. That was like some serious fast-placed block placing. None of the other ones that I've done. I've built, well, there's 8 down underneath, so this is my 12th set of these things. God, this must be getting repetitive in the videos, and we've got another set left to do. But I don't understand how I managed to do those so fast. This must be a good audiobook. I'm listening to A Little History of Philosophy. I just literally finished a short history of nearly everything. I moved on to this one, and it seems to be working. It's making me place blocks faster than I ever have done before. Anyway, this is looking good. This is looking good. The base is looking cool, wonderful. We are making a lot of progress in today's Hermitcraft episode. But unfortunately, I have run out of time for today. So I'm going to pop down into the storage system with my trusty fishing rod. And we're going to go on a bit of an AFK fishing session that will hopefully also replenish the supplies in this storage room. Because as you can see, I have been running pretty rampant when it comes to the resources. Lots and lots of that stuff has been used up. So yeah, I'm going to grab the fishing rod. I have no clue where it is. That looks like it. I'm going to chuck all of my other items into the chest just in case we die, because that would be very bad news. And then I'll catch you guys in probably about 36 hours. Now I've just logged back into the server, and strangely enough, I logged in over here. Which I personally don't fully understand. I also don't fully understand where my fishing rod has gone. I'm so confused on this one. Maybe a slime got in, maybe? I logged in over here. I have 56 levels, so we have done some AFK fishing. And there are a whole bunch of books, and I'll look through all of those. But this is bizarre. This is seriously very strange. Well, okay, very odd AFK fishing session. Hopefully we got ourselves a handful of decent books anyway. I did see mending them, but unfortunately it was on a fishing rod, which isn't particularly brilliant. But I'm sure there's some decent stuff in there. I just don't understand what happened. There's a mending book there. Okay, excellent. Well, we've got at least one. This is... Oh, and another one. Still, really, really odd. I don't really know what to say with that one. Okay, let's crack on and continue work on some of the other projects that we need to do in today's Hermitcraft episode. So I think what I want to do is get everything finished in today's episode of Hermitcraft, so that we can just get this project done and move on and start actually filling these things up. So what we need to do is we need to build another 4 of these diamond things. I know we have built, what, 12 of these in the past 5 episodes of Hermitcraft. I thought it would probably be a good idea to just get this done, get it finished, and then we can crack on with some slightly less repetitive projects, I suppose. So what we're going to do is go 4 blocks above each one of these diamonds right here, and essentially replicate what we have going on down underneath up above. I hope it looks cool. This has been like my plan for the base for like the past 10 episodes. So if my brain is wrong on this one, then it deserves a slapping. So I've almost completed the outer edge of this one right here, and this is going to be my first time actually seeing what this thing is going to look like from down underneath, because this is where we're going to be viewing it most of the time. It's probably going to be on this level here, or of course on the bottom level. Good. Okay, that actually looks considerably better than just these platforms here. That looks good. I like it. I hope you guys like it as well. I do understand I've been making a lot of very drastic changes to the base over the past couple of episodes, but I feel like that is a very good start. This is starting to look really, really cool. The base is coming together. It's coming together. We're pretty much almost done on the external stuff. And this thing is done. The 5th one of today's Hermitcraft episode. It is looking good. It is also, the base is looking really, really cool from up here. I mean, seriously. This place is completely ridiculous. I'm loving the idea of the sea lanterns. But anyway, let's get rid of this pillar. That will take us down to the bottom. Obviously, there are still some bits and pieces that we will need to do at some point in the future. For example, getting in the quartz to do the top section and also all of the glass. But this should give us a good idea of what it's going to look like. Alright. That looks pretty cool. I don't know if I preferred it with just the template. I know that sounds really strange. But no, it looks cool. It does look cool. And it will look a lot cooler once it's a solid thing. If we take a look at the bottom one, just imagine that mirrored up to the top. That has got me a tiny bit concerned. I think once we fill this area in with farms as well, like once we get things going on inside these areas here, so we get the mob farm in, we get cactus farms, we get melon and pumpkin farms, we get villager farms and all that sort of thing going on, then it will start to look pretty insane. But right now, it does look understandably hollow. Anyway, let's crack on with the next one. I'm going to make a big statement here, but I would say the most important feature to Minecraft's success is the fact that you can hold shift click and not fall off a block. Can you imagine if Minecraft didn't have that? It would be the most infuriating game in the world. It seriously would be. And I imagine if it got introduced in a later update, people would complain saying that it ruined Minecraft, because that tends to be how these things go. And number 2 is done. Number 6 for today's Hermitcraft episode, that is looking pretty cool. So we have those 2 right there, and that should give us a pretty good idea of what this thing is going to look like. Fairly epic. It's like a big, very grand base. Everything is like miles apart from one another. I do like the way this is coming together. I do think it looks really, really cool. But of course, we do have 2 still left to go. So I guess, you know, once again, for the 2nd time in today's Hermitcraft episode, we're going to do a little bit of a diamond building time lapse. Following on from my previous time-lapse chat about moving to Bali, all of it sounds pretty good, doesn't it? I mean, it's got some of the most beautiful natural landscapes in the world, it's got some of the best surfing beaches, it has some of the most beautiful houses, and those houses are relatively cheap for how much you get. It's got a really chilled out lifestyle, and most importantly, it's also got relatively fast internet speeds along the south coast, which is where I would want to move, which means I can still continue making YouTube videos. So all of it sounds pretty good, but of course, as per usual, this is a very complicated thing, and there's plenty of things to think about. So moving to another country is a logistical nightmare for starters. Getting visas and all of the permits and everything like that would be incredibly difficult. And most importantly, the housing. The housing is very confusing in Indonesia. If you're a foreigner, you actually can't own a house. It's a little bit odd, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, and I am in touch with quite a lot of real estate agents in Bali so that I can try and get a handle of this situation. But essentially, you can only own a house up to 25 years, and then you have to renew it. You have to renew your ownership somehow, and you can do that up to 3 times, and then you're gone. You can't own the house anymore. Now, I don't really understand how that works. If someone could shed some light down in the comment section, if you do know this sort of thing, that would be greatly helpful. But that's kind of like the main sticking point at this point in time. But still, I'm very interested, and I am looking to move to some form of country. Maybe it won't be Bali, maybe it was somewhere else in the world. And to that, I want to ask you guys, if you could move anywhere in the world, where would you move? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and I'd love to hear what sorts of places you'd like to go to. And who knows, it might give me some ideas myself. But anyway, let's get back onto the Hermitcraft server. And that is that. We are very much done. This thing is fully completed, and I'm chuffed to bits. And most importantly, that little time lapse right there, we shot through these. I finally managed to work out kind of the ratios of the items that I need to build them, because beforehand I would keep having to go down, pick up some more items, and then I'd probably forget something else, and you know, it would take a long time because I'd constantly be going back and forth picking up more resources. But now I've kind of worked out that you need about 18 stacks of this stuff, about 9 stacks of this stuff, and then this area here is reserved for sea lanterns, and then you're good to go. And you can just have like the perfect number, you can fly around without going to and from, and that meant that that time lapse right there only took about 50 minutes, I think. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, about 50 minutes. So Done, 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 and done. Awesome. Okay, this thing is looking brilliant. I cannot wait to get started on the industrial farming areas at some point in the near future, because these things are going to be looking ridiculous. I have no clue what farms I'm going to be building first. I have some pretty good ideas of the ones that I do want to build though, and some ideas for designs too, which should be pretty good. But for the time being, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I've got time for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, and if you really loved it, then make sure to subscribe. But thanks for watching, guys. This has been Mumbo, and I'm out. I'll see you later. Oh, and of course, you know what to do. Filming channel. Link will be on the end screen. Click on that little video. Just give it a thumbs up and say hello.